In today's political landscape, Canada's economic debate has become deeply divided, not only in policy, but in language. Each party now uses distinct rhetorical frames to define what prosperity means and who deserves it. This presentation explores how those divisions emerged, and what kinds of rhetoric strengthen or weaken our democracy. Yes, it is true that Canada's major parties have adopted sharply different rhetorical strategies when talking about the economy. These differences are more than stylistic, they reflect opposing philosophies about growth, fairness, and the role of government. But the health of our democracy doesn't depend on everyone agreeing. It depends on whether debate remains grounded in evidence, shared facts, and respect for differing visions of Canada's future. The healthiest rhetoric informs, includes, and unites, rather than inflaming or dividing. Let's look at how economic rhetoric has evolved. The Conservative Party relies on populist framing, messages like "axe the tax," "bring home paychecks," and "cut waste." This language presents government as the obstacle and affordability as the central crisis, appealing to voters' immediate cost pressures. The Liberal Party uses a language of strategic investment and building generational opportunity. It positions deficits as tools for creating long-term capacity in housing, infrastructure, and clean energy, and focuses on national resilience. The New Democratic Party, NDP, frames its rhetoric around economic fairness and corporate accountability. It emphasizes income inequality, labor rights, and public affordability initiatives like housing and pharmacare. Together, these rhetorical lines reveal fundamentally different stories about how prosperity is created and who it should serve. When economic rhetoric turns into moral combat, builders versus bureaucrats, or working class versus elites, nuance disappears. Populist simplification can erode trust in institutions by portraying economic management as a rigged game. Meanwhile, technocratic detachment, heavy on policy jargon, light on empathy, risks alienating Canadians who feel unseen in economic debates. Healthy democracies depend on tension between ideas, but that tension must be grounded in honesty, shared facts, and civic respect. When rhetoric replaces substance, citizens lose faith not just in leaders, but in the process itself. The healthiest forms of economic rhetoric share 5 essential traits. Evidence-based honesty, acknowledging trade-offs instead of pretending there are none. For instance, admitting that tax cuts reduce fiscal room or that large investments increase debt risk. Shared purpose, framing fiscal choices as national investments in Canada's collective capacity, not zero-sum battles between winners and losers. Transparency and accountability, grounding debate in credible data from institutions like the Parliamentary Budget Officer or Statistics Canada. Civic respect, disagreeing on ideas, not on legitimacy. A strong democracy thrives when opponents are treated as rivals in argument, not enemies of the nation. Nation-building tone, using rhetoric that unites across region, class, and generation, seeing economic policy as a shared project of fairness and opportunity. Canada faces real headwinds, weak productivity, record household debt, and housing affordability pressures. These issues can't be solved through slogans or outrage. Yet, when political rhetoric turns economic policy into a culture war, Canada risks policy paralysis and civic fatigue. If our leaders instead commit to evidence, civility, and realism, Canada can preserve what has long made its democracy strong: mutual trust, institutional integrity, and a shared commitment to progress over partisanship. It is indeed true that Canada's economic rhetoric has grown polarized. Conservatives now speak the language of freedom from government. Liberals speak the language of investment and growth. And the NDP speaks the language of fairness and equality. Each view contributes something valuable, but none alone is complete. The healthiest future for Canadian democracy lies not in silencing these voices, but in keeping them honest, respectful, and focused on solutions that serve all Canadians. A democracy that values truth over slogans, nuance over outrage, and shared progress over partisan victory, is one that endures. The Angus Reid Institute, 2024, provided national polling data showing the ideological divergence of Canada's major parties. Blake, 2024, Canadian Political Science Review, examined historical context for right-wing economic narratives. Ling, 2023, Public Policy Forum, analyzed rising polarization and its risks to civic trust. Patterson, 2017, Health Promotion International, explored how Canadian political rhetoric can inform healthier, more constructive public discourse. Together, These sources confirm that the survival of Canada's democracy depends on rhetoric that is transparent, factual, and nation-building, not divisive or performative. Viewers can pause here to consult the full citations and follow links to the source material.